Hello and welcome to Warframe. My name's Todd, also known as Major Mech, and this is of course Warframe. Last time we left off completing some objectives, getting towards kind of exploring the rest of the universe as our main goal is. Of course this time I stated previously that our main goal would be of course doing Stolfer up to 15 waves just because we need that for the Sedina no, it wasn't the Sedina Junction, it was the Eris Junction that we needed that for. Because, of course, once we unlock the Eris Junction, we will have access to most of the other missions, and we'll be able to kind of do a lot more things. Unlocking most of the star map is your major objective, of course, in Warframe. Once that's kind of done, there's lots of other things that can be done. So let's see, is there anybody on Stolfer right now? It doesn't appear to be. But regardless, we also have some foundry items that we finished building. So we'll go take a look at that. Of course, last time I stated we would do it, and we did it. We built Limbo. It's kind of unfortunate we had to get rid of Volt for him, but that's kind of the paradox of being a new player, of course, is that you have to change around your setup based around how many slots you have. Warframe and weapon slots, of course, is what I'm referring to. So I already changed the name of our little profile here, and now that we've got him, we can equip him. There's a good boy Limbo. Let's just customize him real quick. We're going to go with that one. We're going to keep him pretty much bare bones basic for the moment. We'll just slap on a new coat of paint just because we can, and kind of go from there. Yep. And then accents, gold, why not? Let's go with the deeper gold, actually. That one. Colors, energy, we'll go with that. Secondary, we'll go with this. Energy overall, we'll go with this. Okay. So it's not perfect, but it'll be a good place to start. I also kind of wanted to show off how I go about building builds. You can, of course, upgrade your capacity with a good old Oregon reactor, which we will be doing for our good boy Limbo here, because we want him to be as effective as possible for the time being. We don't have an aura for him just yet, but we will definitely, probably at some point, get one of them. So Limbo's major things, of course, are, let's go back out here, and we'll take a look at his abilities. His first one is Banish. Cast a wave of Rift energy at an enemy or an ally, and it puts them in the Rift. While in the Rift, you can only interact with targets that are in the Rift, so just be aware of how that kind of functions. If you're in the Rift, you can't interact with things that are outside of it. If you're outside of the Rift, you can't interact with things that are inside of it. So this can be used for both good and bad. Try to use it for good. Don't be that guy. Stasis is kind of your AoE banish. Stasis is not your AoE banish. Stasis is your crowd control ability. Stasis effectively allows you to stop everything that is in the Rift, specifically enemies and enemy projectiles. It used to stop ally projectiles as well, but thankfully it doesn't do that anymore. So you can go ahead and anytime something's in the Rift, stasis it, prevent it from moving, and kill it at your leisure. Then of course there's Rift Surge, which is actually your AoE banish. Surges nearby rift-bound enemies with Rift energy. When killed, the Rift Surge is transferred to a nearby enemy outside the Rift. Surged enemies that leave the Rift perform a radial banish. So effectively, if an enemy is outside of the Rift and it is and if an enemy becomes outside the Rift, so if an enemy leaves the Rift, it will create a radial banish or an AoE banish and put everything that was around it into the Rift. Effectively, enemies that are in the Rift, the only thing that Rift Surge does for them is the second they leave the Rift, it puts them back in the Rift. So that's pretty much the only major reason to use that. However, the major reason most people would use Limbo, of course, would be Cataclysm. So Cataclysm, a violent blast of void energies tears open a pocket in the Rift plane. So effectively, this creates an AoE zone, which is massively useful for defending objectives. That combined with your stasis, your second ability, means that you can create a zone where nothing can move and nothing can attack you. It's very effective, and we will be using it hopefully to the best of our ability. However, let's see, we need some other items. I guess streamline would be beneficial for us. Duration is kind of the first thing you definitely want to get on Limbo. I guess I would like to have some defenses as well, but I don't really have the mod slots for that, so I guess we'll have to go without them. But yeah, effectively, for me, the major things that you want to increase on Limbo are duration, efficiency, and range. Strength is not super useful. There is some damage capability from your abilities, but it's nowhere near as good as other frames, and it isn't really all that buffed. So duration and range is the major things you kind of want to focus on. Efficiency is just good because it'll help you out. Now, the one thing I didn't look at for Limbo is, of course, his passive. Whenever he dodges, he can enter the rift. Um, Effectively, while in the rift, Limbo and his teammates gain 10 energy every time something is killed. But you also recharge energy slowly while in the rift. So being in the rift is great. You can gather lots and lots of energy. So Limbo is just kind of a nice frame for before you have a chance to get lots of lots of abilities that would help you otherwise increase your energy. Limbo's a great frame for energy conservation early on because of his ability to innately regenerate energy while in the rift. So I just added Augur Message to my Loki because Augur Message, of course, increases ability duration. Ability duration is great on a lot of Warframes. And I also forgot that we do want to add Rifle Amp to him so he can get a little bit more mod capacity, which should allow us to throw something else on, like Streamline. Streamline will be useful early on. Once we've leveled up a little bit and he's got a little bit more energy, Limbo will be better later on. Let's see, is there anything I can focus on here? I don't think so. Alright, so this episode, we won't be going straight to Stulfer. We'll be focusing on buffing up our Limbo and kind of showing off how his abilities work. So we'll be doing some defense to kind of level him up until our time limit's up, and then I will probably level him up independently in between episodes, and then next time we will try and take on Stulfer. I just kind of want to show off his abilities this part if I'm able to. I did also want to make a note that the Nightwave missions have changed. So that's, of course, the story for our next Nightwave. Our next Nightwave, of course, focuses on the infestation. Um, let's see, what are our cred offerings, actually? Because it would be great if we could get... No. Christ. Laura really talks a lot, doesn't she? Effectively, the one thing that we would like to get from cred offerings at some point is Energy Siphon, as that'll help us with our energy problems early on, or Orokin reactors, or Orokin catalysts, depending on how we're looking at it. Yeah, so those are the major things we're looking at. Let's see, I don't think there's anything super impressive up here in the higher levels to get your hands on, aside from another Umbra Forma, if you wanted to get your hands on one of those, I suppose. There is some cosmetics, but that's about it. Yeah. So there are things to work for, but we're focused on auras at the moment because we need energy. Anyway, let's jump into a mission as Limbo so we can show that off. We were just going to do a basic lith defense. The major things to note about Limbo is he's weak. Very, very weak. So we must keep a constant eye out for enemies that would otherwise kill us very quickly. That is not my ship. Why does my ship look like this? Is that... Oh, that is my ship. I'm just not thinking straight. That's the Dex ship, of course. Criminies, I forgot we had that for a moment. Alright. So to start off with, I can kind of show off banishing an enemy here. I only want to do it for one enemy, so... Oh. I was hoping that wouldn't kill him instantly, but these enemies are so low level that we can't really show that off. So that was us entering the rift there. Well, in the rift you can see that our energy is slightly going up. So that is kind of nice. We could also leave the rift by pressing shift. So whenever you press shift to effectively dodge or roll, you enter the rift instead, which is very effective. On these lower levels, no, I guess nothing's really going to survive it unless maybe I see a heavy gunner at some point. I think I heard one. Heavy gunners would probably be the only thing that would survive some of these attacks that we've got right now. If we could get one of these enemies to survive entering the rift, effectively all it is they will be out of our plane and they won't be able to shoot us. They'll be right in front of us, but they won't be able to do anything. Which is, in a way, useful, in a way not, so... Depends on clever usage. Limbo's a lot about clever usage. You can see, though, that every time we use our rift ability, we spend up a little bit of our energy, and then we can, of course, enter the rift and gain it back, which is why Limbo is as useful as he is, because of his rift gaining capabilities. And of course, as soon as we have Cataclysm and Stasis, we'll be able to show that off and show how he's extremely useful on a defense objective. Let's see. It seems that that our Ember here is using very high range to kill enemies quickly that get a bit too close. Which is why enemies are just kind of dying around her. Which is good. It means we have to do a little bit less work in the long run. Let's see. I almost forgot. What weapon do we need to level up? We do need to level up our Dexterous still and our Dextakara. Okay. Dexterous, of course, is currently our best secondary and will be a pretty good secondary for some time. It's quite a good secondary just purely because of the fact that it fires so quickly, has okay status chance, critical chance, and overall okay stats. There are definitely better weapons out there, but currently we don't own any of them, so this will do. This will do just fine. Let's see. Gather up everything we can, pretty much. Of course, it does take some getting used to. Limbos, of course, entering the rift and exiting the rift. It does function the same way as a roll would, so note that there is no major difference, aside from putting you in the rift once you use it. You do also create a tiny little portal that your enemies, or your allies, can enter when you do that. Which would be useful to them for the same reason that it's useful to you, of course, because of the energy gain. Note that you can exit the rift at any time just by pressing shift or rolling, whatever your roll key may be bound to. That goes for players that are Limbo and players that aren't Limbo. So if you ever get trolled by a limbo, for instance, by him putting you in the rift constantly, you can exit it in such a manner. You know what I can do? I can also cause that person to enter the rift. And they're perfectly fine with that because their Warframe abilities transcend the rift, meaning that they can both uh, work inside and outside, and they affect enemies that are both inside and outside. They're the only thing that transcends the rift. Weapons do not, though. So I can't shoot an enemy that's outside the rift. However, I can use a Warframe ability on them if I'm inside the rift. So that is something to note. Though I don't think the same applies to Banish. Let me see. No, it does not. So your own abilities, Banish for instance, don't work the same way, which is kind of strange. I'm not sure why that was the major design choice, but it was. Limbo's always been kind of a strange frame, and they've had to change him multiple times because of the... He just works on very weird rules. Let's deal with all these guys. When we get to 10 waves, I'm going to dip out to see what kind of level we've reached, because I think we've gotten an okay amount of experience. 3 ranks. I don't know if we'll have enough. I guess we could try out doing some higher level stuff, but I'm kind of worried about getting killed instantly on a limbo. So it wouldn't be very hard for us to get killed quickly at higher levels, considering how much life we have. So that is something to always notice, is that Limbo's got very little health and shields. So trying to survive at higher levels is quite difficult, unless you buff him up with more HP, more shields, just about everything really. But even a small amount of HP and shields can go a long way if used correctly in Warframe. So of course you can see I can use the rift to go away from my enemy and then pick them off from a distance where they may not be able to hit me as well. Alright. So let's see. Kill all the enemies here pretty much. Kill these enemies. Deal with all them. Got some leveling up to do. Okay, so we've reached Limbo level rank 3, so we've unlocked Stasis. Well, still can't Stasis any of these enemies. Maybe we should go a little bit longer so we can see what Stasis is like. Something to think about at the very least. We might decide to do that, we might not. We'll see. We will see here. So, when dealing with Limbo, the major enemies of Limbo that could really do damage to him and really mess up your rotations. Sure, why not? We'll keep going. Is enemies that can disrupt your Warframe abilities, such as nullifiers. Those are the enemies of Limbo more than any other. Enemies such as those can really mess with you because they can take you out of the rift, they can destroy any sort of rifting that you've already done, and they can pop your Cataclysm, or effectively destroying it. This is similar for other Warframes as well, meaning that enemies like Corpus enemies in capture objectives, or not capture objectives, but defense missions tend to be extremely dangerous, as Warframe abilities tend to be the major way that we defend things. Though this doesn't apply to all Warframes, it does apply to most defensive Warframes. Limbo is surprisingly effective in weird situations, and we'll kind of show that off, at least I'll try to show that off as the best I'm able as time goes on. He's got many uses, especially because while in the rift, if nothing else is in the rift, you're effectively immortal. Nothing can kill you, nothing can damage you, but you can of course hurt anything else, you can't damage anything else. While in the rift, you also are completely immune to spy lasers, So that's kind of a weird thing that Limbo's quite good at, is spy missions. Because being immune to spy lasers means you can go run through laser gates and you won't set off any alarms. Because you're effectively not touching them, you're in a different plane of existence. I don't know if they've changed that in recent times, but as far as I know, that's a true statement. Which makes it quite effective. It's the same reason that your operator is effective in spy missions, is because while in their own plane, they are also immune to all things, including spy lasers. So if you, for instance, didn't have an operator, Limbo might be more effective at dealing with those situations. Might be is the key word, of course. Does not necessarily make him more effective than, say, Loki, for instance. Loki is by far and away more effective. And that I believe fully. So that's, of course, of note. Let's see, we're on 13 already. Having that ember there is pretty nice. Not sure what they're using to regenerate energy, but rather effective in its own right. Maybe they're just keeping world on fire constantly through some other means. Right now, of course, because we're fighting low-level enemies, our Limbo isn't taking much damage, but as you can imagine, at higher levels with just this amount of health, it is a delicate dance you run, trying to ensure that you're not dying to just the slightest things. It is quite funny to kill things with Banish. Usually Banish does so little damage that it's almost negligible, but at this low of a level it's an instant kill, which is kind of funny. You can also see that there that Banish is an AoE spell, and oh, that thing survived. So now we can stasis it, which you can see freezes it in place, and now we can go into the rift ourselves and kill it. It could not attack us, it could not do anything about what we just did. So that's why that sort of thing is effective. As you can also tell, because we can later on make a zone where we can stasis things, that makes defense objectives more easy to deal with. As everything will be stasis, nothing will really be able to do anything to us. And we can just kind of go at our leisurely pace. Let's see. Is there anything I need to worry about? There is kind of a funny mentality with Limbo as well on the side of range. So range is something I stated previously you would want to increase. But you don't necessarily have to. You can also decrease Limbo's range to make the zone that he creates smaller but more effective for just a single objective. This is kind of to counteract that statement I made previously about him being weak to nullifiers. You could also just, for instance, not equip ranged mods in any way, shape, or form, which I think is what we're going to kind of focus on. As even without any range whatsoever, his basic Cataclysm is quite effective at defending an objective. So we'll make note of that when it comes up. When it comes up, though. Let's see, so we're going to put her in the rift. We're going to stasis her. And as you can see now, we can just kind of tear her apart. And that's why Limbo's effective at taking down either big enemies without any worry, or controlling an area. Because when in the rift, you're the master of the rift. Okay, let's extract. So hopefully we'll have gotten up to a level where we can show off Cataclysm. If not, we'll do maybe a higher level objective and see if we can't survive. This is kind of a bad idea, but we'll see how it goes. Typically you want to avoid doing higher level objectives for the pure reason that you won't have any health, and that's bad. That's bad all around. Worst comes to worst, we'll get knocked down a bunch, and then we'll suffer the consequences. Oh, a little bit of lag there for some reason. So let's run over here, and we will upgrade our limbo. No, it doesn't look like we can equip anything else, which is a shame, but we'll make do. Did we manage to get Cataclysm, though? No. No, we did not. So it would be best if we unlocked that. What is that unlocked at? Unlocked at rank 10. So 3 more ranks and we'd have it. Let's take a look. Oh, there is one thing I did want to mention. In recent updates, they did just recently, a while back, update the beginner pack, which I don't think I can show that off anywhere. I don't really have any effective way to show that off, but effectively the beginner's pack is a pack that they've always offered in Warframe, which kind of includes some platinum, some stuff that you can get. It's $20 to buy it. It includes platinum, and it included some glyphs and some mods previously. Now it includes platinum, glyphs, mods, an emblem, and also a Warframe slots and some weapon slots. Or some Warframe slots and some weapon slots, I think. I don't know if it's more than one, but I know it includes at least one Warframe slot and some weapon slots, which is very beneficial for new players. It's now a very, very good deal to buy, so I would definitely pick it up if you have the money and the drive to purchase some stuff like that. In the future, I might decide to do that just purely for the fact that we could use it. Let's see. I would hate to start going across Sedina with our current setup, but I need a higher level defense objective to level up our limbo here. Trying to remember what is... I know there's a defense objective, I think it might be Chimera on Jupiter, and a lot of people tend to do it. I just don't remember which one it is. Let's see, what about Mars? Could do Spear, but it doesn't look like anybody's doing Spear. Is there any defense objectives on Phobos? Nope, doesn't look like it. Okay, so we could go over to the Void and go to Tyrannus. Forgive me, words. Just to give us something else to look at. It will also give us a chance to hopefully get some other resources, rather than just farming more Earth resources, as we kind of don't need them. Honestly, seeing the Orbiter like that, I was so surprised, because I thought we still had the beginner set. I'd completely forgotten that we'd gotten the upgraded one. It's been a while since I played Warframe, of course, as I'm now doing these videos in kind of longer stretches. I guess I could show off a Rift Surge, but I kinda don't see any reason to. At least not at the moment. Oh, that killed quite a few enemies there. This is still quite effective, huh? I didn't expect that Banish would still be quite effective, but it is. That's surprising in its own right. Because it is so effective that it might actually be useful to kill enemies. And kind of clear out the place, because it is, of course, an AoE attack. So that's not too bad. Not too bad at all. We'll enter the rift here, get some energy back. Not that we really need it. Energy on Limbo is something that's pretty much always easy to get your hands on. As of course, you can of course enter the rift and go around, and while you may not be able to pick up any items that are outside the rift, you will be able to gather them up to you if you have a mod like Vacuum on your Sentinel. So that is something to note. It's kind of an interesting interaction. Let's see if we can get it to actually happen. So we've done it. Let's see, we're outside the rift. So you can see that the energy orb is now following us because we're in the rift and it can't actually come to us. Murder everybody just by banishing them. I don't remember Banish being so effective at doing damage, but there you are. Let's see. We do need to level up our Dextakara, of course, so I'll switch to that. As soon as our Limbo gets to rank 10, we can hopefully show off Cataclysm. But it looks like that might be a little while. The major thing that you want to note while playing Limbo, of course, is that you don't want enemies to get through your shields. So your shield's actually more effective than your health, just because your health is such a low amount. But you can still buff up both your shields and your health as is needed. Thankfully we haven't needed it at the moment. I wonder. I don't know if these lasers still affect you when you're in the rift, but I don't think they would, actually. So that's kind of a funny thing that you might actually be able to avoid getting instantly killed by these death lasers. Though I'm not sure, and I don't really want to test it. Okay. Pop out of the rift. Rift that dude, rift that dude. Rift all the dudes. So, I did also state that Cataclysm is an AoE attack. It's a far bigger AoE attack than our Banish here, because it creates a zone. And when we get it, hopefully I'll be able to show that off even better. We'll just kill that guy right there. He's dead as can be. And that's how you can be kind of an effective Limbo, even using Banish and everything. We'll head out just to get our experience and move on. No point in sticking around if no one else will, of course, as we're not super effective by ourselves. Let's see. So, that's kind of a basic showing of Limbo. Let's see, how much time do we have left? Oh. Oh dear. It seems I forgot to set my alarm properly. Well, I guess I can consider that at the end. This might be a little short episode, just to kind of show off the basic parts of Limbo. Just to kind of show off a little bit of playing time, do little things that we needed to do. Next time, like I stated, there will be lots of grinding in between, because I want to get our Limbo up to snuff so we can do Stolfer up to 15. Meaning I'll put on a lot of health mods, put on pretty much every bit of survivability I can, add in more duration if I'm able to, get my hands on other duration mods and whatnot in between parts. Until then, though, goodbye.